Welcome to The Holistic Truth, sponsored by Nutritional Frontiers. Nutritional Frontiers is a Pittsburgh-based professional nutraceutical company founded by Dr. James Weiner and Jamie Dorley, and they are celebrating their 10th anniversary. All of the Nutritional Frontiers formulations are 100% guaranteed for purity and potency and follow the highest quality control standards today, including CGMP manufacturing facilities, certificates of analysis, and third-party testing. The Holistic Truth. Want the truth?
You can't handle the truth!
And now, with the whole truth and nothing but the truth, here's Jamie Dorley.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Holistic Truth, your free class on the air for natural healing. At the Holistic Truth, you get the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. You get that live 4 days a week, folks, every Monday and Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and every Tuesday and Thursday, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's the early bird special. So, folks, you can pick us up anywhere in the globe, khbradio.com. If you're in the western PA tri-state area, pick us up on 94.1 FM, 620 AM dial, or coming real soon, you'll be able to pick us up right through our own website, and we're going to be able to have all the archive shows on there, because I know people may not be able to get all the shows all the time. However, they really do like to enjoy listening to the show and catch up and get all the great research and education that we provide. So I'd like to thank, of course, Nutritional Frontiers. We're breaking through nutritional boundaries. Pittsburgh's own wellness center and wellness company. Nutritional Frontiers focus on quality, integrity, research, and service. Founded almost 10 years ago by the late Dr. James Weiner and yours truly, Jamie Dorley. We always want to focus on the quality of the nutrients because the industry has taken a tremendous strides, especially in the last 20 years, to improve on quality, because we cannot let our customers down and our clients down. We can't do it like Big Pharma did. It's unacceptable. So we have a tremendous amount of respect, focus, and we are willing to invest the time and capital to guarantee the quality control is at the highest standards, folks. We take this very seriously because if you look at all the new GMP regulations, that means good manufacturing practices. All of our facilities follow these guidelines, and they are independently audited by the FDA. So if someone tells you the FDA is not involved in vitamins, they're 100% wrong. And it's okay because we know a lot of people still feel that way. However, we know the difference. And we know the truth. That's why it's called the Holistic Truth. So not only is every formula made in a certified lab, but we guarantee every formula for potency and purity. For example, our brand new vitamin C, and I know our guest today is going to be ecstatic about this, our brand new vitamin C called Buffered C by Nutritional Frontiers comes with a potency of 500 milligrams per veggie cap, and the purity. It is non-GMO, corn-free. I know many people, including Dr. Dennis Courtney, be really excited about that one. That one's for you, Dr. Courtney, and they've been asking me for 10 years now for a non-GMO, corn-free vitamin C. We have it now by Nutritional Frontiers, folks. Available now. That is called Buffered Vitamin C by Nutritional Frontiers. It's great because it comes in a veggie cap, non-GMO, corn-free, and you get a nice value in the formula. It's less than $1 a day. Depending on how many you take, it could be as little as 25 cents a day. So purity and potency, 100% guaranteed by Nutritional Frontiers, and we stand behind every formula, 100% money-back guarantee. All you need to do is go to where you purchased it, bring it back, and they'll give you your money back. If they don't, you can contact me at Nutritional Frontiers anytime, 24/7, 365. All you need to do is go to our website, nutritionalfrontiers.com, and email me and let me know what the situation is. Very rare that we have any issue. However, due to the humidity, temperature change, exposure to light and air, things can happen, right? So if they do, let us know. So a lot of companies have the quality control. If you look at the companies that Dr. Weiner carries, the Metagenics that I spent a long time of my career at, and Douglas Labs, which I sold Douglas Labs for going on 17 years now. And the other companies I looked at, over the years, Zymergen, Integrated Therapeutics. So, all these top companies are utilizing the best labs out there. The difference you start to see with the other professional companies and ourselves, Nutritional Frontiers, is the amount of trademark ingredients we use. Okay, we call PRT, Patented Research Trademark, PRT, folks. If you're fortunate enough to find a formula that has PRT in it, then you're lucky, because the PRT are patented research and trademark ingredients, and they come with a tremendous amount of research and education. And usually the research and trademarks is going to be on one or two things. One is the processing of it. Okay, how do they make that nutrient to be absorbed better? Or the form of the ingredient. Okay, so how it's processed or the form, that's usually where the patents are. And it's fantastic, because now we're posting 40 different trademark ingredients, and I guarantee you're going to get better results, much faster, and the best value possible. We started looking at the delivery systems to maximize it. One is compliance. The doctor we have on today deals with a lot of autistic children, and, compliance may be a challenge there. So we got to have more delivery options that maximize the absorbability inside the blood. And then when we get to the blood, now that's the superhighway. We need to get it to the cells, assimilate, meaning get inside the cell and turn it on and do something, right? Sometimes you turn it off, right? So then you have to have a nutrient that's able to be excreted, because if you're taking a supplement that has toxins in it, like the number one sodium multi in the country, all you do is add into the toxic load. And we're swimming in a sea of toxicity in 2018, and we have plenty of toxins that we're exposed to. And the problem with these is they build up over time, so they have a toxic load. So we use a tremendous amount of trademark ingredients, maximizing the delivery system to give you the best results and the best value possible. And hey, we do a lot of events every year. Over 100 days we are being in the community this year. We do the radio shows every week. We do our professional training events. I'm going to the IHS, the Integrated Health Symposium, this week in New York City. That is for healthcare professionals. We will actually be a sponsor and have a booth at the exhibit hall there. So we're really excited for that event. With keynote speaker, my mentor, Dr. Jeffrey Bland, will be there. And all my friends and all the other companies. So, we have a lot of friends that work in the industry, and just because they don't work for Nutritional Frontiers or I don't work for Metagenics doesn't mean we still work together. In addition, we are at a lot of community events, including the Wine and Wellness Week, that's coming up from March 3rd through March 10th, 2018. That is going on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday till 6 p.m. Put the breaks a little bit on the schedule. And Tuesday, Thursday to 5 p.m. and Saturday till 3 p.m. So I'm sure people will be excited about the new schedule. So you still get an opportunity to come down for a full week. However, the people that work there get out at a decent time, so we do appreciate that. In addition, we are doing a lot of events for other doctors in this area, the Pittsburgh area, and throughout the country. If you are a healthcare professional, and when you're listening out there, you want us to do an event at your office, we're more than happy to do it. If you are a client or a consumer or a patient of a healthcare professional, and you'd like us to go to your doctor's event, just have them call us. We're more than happy to do that for them, too. Okay? So we do a tremendous amount of events. We take a lot of pride in these events. We're continually doing them, and we're looking to expand further and further. For example, just recently, 2018, beginning of the year, Nutritional Frontiers finally got it done. We are a Premier Alliance partner of the Trinity School of Natural Health. If you'd like to learn more about Trinity, go to trinityschoolofhealth.com. And we are partnering with them now, so it creates a lot of opportunity for everyone on our team and their team. So we have a special guest back on the show today. And speaking of partnerships, I'm so excited to announce that Dr. Noah Erickson, he's the founder and clinical director of the Innovative Family Wellness Center and the founder of Dr. Noah's ARC, the Autism Recovery Center. Nice thing is he has 2 locations. He did work under one of our pioneers in the field, Dr. Marty Gallagher out of Dementia. So if you know he worked with Dr. Gallagher, you know this guy is at the top of his class, and he's one of the leading up-and-coming doctors. Up-and-coming is funny because he's been doing this for 14 years already. He was part of the team that worked out there along with Dr. Clement Shaw that I started working with when I went to Metagenics. You go back about 13, 14 years. So we all started about the same time in the field. He went to Cal U right down the road in Western PA. Bachelor's degree in athletic training. And similar background as myself with athletic training and personal training and physiology. So really exciting that we share some of the similar backgrounds. Unlike him, I did not go to chiropractic school, but I work with the doctors. So Dr. Erickson is also a licensed medical acupuncturist. So this is incredible, folks. I don't know how many guys or gals locally we have that have the background in athletic training, chiropractic, and medical acupuncture. No, I don't know any other ones. If there are, I apologize. But he is at the top of his program. And, I think even in the country, one of the few guys that he practices we call epigenetics and nutrigenomics. So these are biomedical, genetically based treatment for autism, ADD, ADHD, and related disorders. I had him on the show recently, and I had a overwhelming amount of positive phone calls, text messages, and emails, all demanding, not asking, demanding that he comes back on the show. And I know he can't do it yet, but they want him to go out there and train other doctors to be able to do these type of therapies that he does. So let's give a warm Pittsburgh welcome back. Welcome back, Dr. Noah Erickson. How are we doing today, Doc?
Good morning, Jamie. I'm just fine. And for all those first-time listeners, we welcome you aboard. And for all the return listeners, thanks for tuning back in. And today, I want you to fall in love with your brain. So, Jamie, about 1 week after Valentine's Day, I hope everyone, renewed and fell in love again. But I want to fall in love with your brain. I want to talk a lot about dementia today. And I want to talk about those senior moments. Where's my keys, my glasses, what's that phone number? Then I want to talk to you about brain static. So when you think of it this way, is it possible for everyday mental malfunction, forgetfulness, and senile dementia to be part of a circulatory issue? It sure can. So using nutrients that help with circulation in the brain are certainly helpful. Ginkgo biloba, omega-3 fish oils, coenzyme Q10, working on the circulatory pathway. Another way to look at this, though, during a comprehensive evaluation, which is something we did for the 61-year-old female from Ohio, is we did a complete assessment and workup. So she had complaints, like many people do, where the signals weren't connecting. She was having some static in the brain, what you might call brain fog, everyday mental malfunction. So I decided to take a deep look in her history, and on day one, she presented and had a multitude of tests that she already had undergone. I was very thankful to see that her doctor had screened her, ran some basic blood work, looked at her blood counts, looked at her for diabetes, checked her thyroid level, and everything was functioning very well, on paper, that is. The second spot she ended up going to was a referral to a neurologist. She had a study at a neurologist's office, and they determined that her brain on an MRI had no sort of visible lesion or malformity, so she was cleared neurology. The third thing she tried to do is being a librarian. She got some neat books out on memory, took some neat books out on holistic health, and she started taking some basic nutrients. She took omega-3 fatty acids. Just like you were saying, Jamie, omega-3s in circulation in the brain, we know that's brain food. The second thing she decided to do, based on some reading, she decided to cut down her consumption of refined carbohydrates. Candies, cakes, donuts, pies, ice cream, soda pop, those sorts of things she knocked out because, as you were saying, you can have type 3 diabetes or inflammation of brain. So for everybody out there listening, knocking down sugars, adding in more omega-3 rich food, walnuts, flaxseed, fish is a sensible start. But she came to the office and still had everyday mental malfunction. So on her workup, we decided...
Doc, when you're talking about mental malfunction, you're talking about brain fog, memory loss. What exactly you're talking about? I know it's a very general term, but mental malfunction, can you be a little more specific for our audience?
Yeah, sure. I'll just recap there. We were talking about walking into a room and looking for your sunglasses, your car keys, trying to remember an important person's name that you just met, maybe in a business engagement, or a neighbor's name. So those kind of embarrassing sort of what we call sometimers moments, sometimes you got it and sometimes you don't, happen to a lot of us. So in those situations, it begs the question, am I going down the path of Alzheimer's? And I don't know about you, but I know many of people, as I worked in a nursing home, and if you've ever been affected in the family, it's a tragic, extremely sad situation to watch somebody go through an Alzheimer's situation. Their body is still present. It appears as though they want to engage and talk with you, but unfortunately, their mental capacity or everyday mental malfunction, simple tasks, just getting dressed, getting prepared, driving a car, remembering what to buy at the grocery store, is gone. So that's what I'm referring to.
Oh, that's great, because, so many people are affected by that. And it's not something where we're 80 and 90 anymore. 61 years old, and you can really, tune into this, because it's happened to me periodically, not to this level like you're talking about, but I was laughing because the car keys, how many times you can't find the keys, right? And these are little things that are showing us signs that, hey, we want to get this as soon as possible. I think that's the beauty of functional medicine, and I'm sure you agree, Dr. Erickson, is that the sooner we find something, the further upstream we go in functional medicine, the better the success is going to be with that person, because the longer we wait and the longer it gets downstream, the more damage that's going to occur, and the harder it is to turn that ship around.
That's exactly right. So along that pathway, let's identify some factors here. Some factors that can send us down this pathway that we have to go upstream and look at first are heavy metal toxins. We've definitely identified the relationship between aluminum and mercury as being known neurological toxins. The other thing we have to consider is an aging person, both men and women, is hormonal imbalances, right? Many times we forget that testosterone receptors and estrogen receptors are not just in the private areas, they're all across the body, and of course in the brain as well. So there's a biochemical influence. The third thing we have to consider is leaky gut and gut-brain syndrome. We now know that the gut is considered the second brain, so we have to dive deep into the bowels, if you will, and look for underlying microbial infections, because unfortunately, many times people's gut leaves them swimming in a chemical called ammonia. It's a toxic chemical that can cause brain fog. And many people, too, have this thing where they belch, they riff, they have indigestion, heartburn, have been diagnosed with acid reflux, and in their upper bowel, not their colon, but their upper bowel, they're producing methane gas and hydrogen sulfide gas that also causes a great disruption of brain chemicals.
Well, that's really interesting, because when we first brought up dementia today, the first thing I was thinking about is heavy metals, and we've seen that to be more and more common. What type of testing are you conducting to prove heavy metals in your patients?
Well, in this particular patient from Ohio, we decided to test care in the following ways. We ran a hormone test, and we did it a little unconventionally. We grabbed part of the blood work and did some serum labs, looking for additional bands of thyroid and some different identifying markers. We looked at pregnenolone levels, but the other thing, too, I decided to do is a urine test. I looked at metabolites of estrogen. It's not always just about estrone, estradiol, and estriol, the estrogen hormones that make up a female's complexion. We know that the breakdown process through the liver and some pathways of detoxification are extremely important. And on that test, I found she was estrogen dominant and progesterone deficiency. So I'm going to highlight a product here, Jameson Nutritional Frontiers, that I use. Many people feel the first step into correcting hormones is hormones, right? Doesn't it make sense? If I'm low in gas, I go to the gas station. I don't buy motor oil. I buy gasoline for the car, and I fill it up. Well, in this case, we actually had to get estrogen down to get progesterone in balance. So I had her take Ester Cleanse, 3 capsules with dinner. That was extremely important first step in getting estrogen down, so opening up pathways of detox. The second test we ran is a test of her microbiome called an organic acid test and a breath test. We quickly diagnosed that she had a massive infection in her upper bowel that was unresponsive to probiotics. So one of my stellar products here from Nutritional Frontiers, SBC2, I had her take 2 capsules every morning upon awakening. You know, many people run off to a health food store, as Karen did, and they buy multivitamins or omega-3s or vitamin D, and that's a good start. But unfortunately, many people grab probiotics that contain strains that aren't conducive or healthy for their particular bowel problems. So identifying the strain of bacteria found in the stool test is extremely important. The third thing I did, and this is a bit unconventional, we ran some tests for heavy metals. So I had her do a challenge test. I had her take Liver Clear 2 capsules 3 times a day to start to release some metals, to start to unwind some different chemical pathways and help her detox. And on the urine challenge test, she showed she was spilling not only mercury, a known thyroid toxin, a known brain toxin. It gets a lot of bad press in the realm of flu shots and medicines that contain it, especially in the realm of children with autism spectrum disorder. And another one, aluminum. We know that aluminum is an enzyme inhibitor of the spark plugs of the cell called mitochondria. They shut down energy production to help you detox, to help your brain snap, to help you work, and to make something called ATP, the energy currency. So we did these 3 tests in Karen's workup, and this is how we began using some of the baseline products like Ester Cleanse, SBC2, and also the liver product to help her open up pathways of detox and get her clicking and ticking.
So the approach you're going to take on them is, not only look for the heavy metals, but some of the metabolites of the heavy metals, right? And very interesting, you picked out a couple of the thyroid disruptors, and I like how you connect the thyroid with the sex hormones and also the adrenal pattern. So on these patients, you're seeing more and more elevated levels of metabolites of, I wrote down aluminum, mercury, and what was the other one?
Yeah, sure. We find aluminum, mercury, and some odd things too often show up, like thallium and gadolinium from people having MRI studies. We know that a lot of these environmental toxins are in the air, they're in the water, and they're in the food. So I have 3 basic principles to take home today. Clean air, meaning free of molds and mycotoxins and biotoxins and VOCs from things like carpet and paint. We have number 2, clean water. If you don't already, buy purified water. Get a home unit in your house. Make it easy. Stop lugging back and forth jugs for many people do, or stop drinking from plastic water bottles if possible. You'll eliminate some of the BPA plastic biotoxins that are known endocrine hormone disruptors. And then number 3, clean food. When possible, eat organic. When possible, like I told Karen, and she already came to the office, rather astute, knock out refined sugars, simple carbohydrates, flour. I can tell you this, Jamie, after doing food allergy testing and customized diets now for almost 14 years, there's one thing, whether you follow the anti-yeast diet, whether you follow the specific carbohydrate diet, the autoimmune paleo diet, whatever diet, I've never seen a diet be allowing of sugars, refined carbohydrates, candies, cakes, donuts, pies, cookies, ice cream, and soda pop, okay? So we can roll that out right away. Moving forward into phase 2, though, with Karen, I can exemplify what we did with some neat products there from Nutritional Frontiers. First step for clearing her brain was detoxification, hormonal balance, and getting rid of some of the pathways. I did mention mitochondrial. One of the most intriguing things I started to do then in her case is go after mitochondrial. So her multivitamin was an easy pick. I used the Frontier multivitamins because there's some neat mitochondrial agents in there, such as coenzyme Q10. We now know this important antioxidant is helpful for the brain, it's helpful for the body to function. And listen, break that down a second. It's the enzyme or the biological catalyst, right, the propelling unit that allows ATP energy to turn on. I would tease people this way. If you feel you have brain fog, it's like you're drowning. You're just sort of swamped over in this mucky mess in your head, and you feel this thick coating or this cloak all over your brain, right? So you're kind of drowning. It's analogous to your basement having a sump pump but the sump pumps backed up, maybe the power's knocked off or it's broken, and your basement is now being flooded in mucky, yucky, tucky water. No different with brain fog and everyday mental malfunction. So we use the mitochondrial pathway support to start to open up the brain to pump out the junk, biotoxins, mycotoxins, mold. And, you know, as many homes in that Youngstown, Ohio Valley area, just like in Karen's home, she had mold in the basement. So we had her do some interesting stuff. I had her also, as we advanced to her gut protocol, she took Frontier Cleanse, 4 capsules every night. You know, the trick is for mold, binders, and also detoxification. So we start to get our pumps working through the Frontier Multi. We start to do some binding agents through the Frontier Cleanse. And we also grab the liver and help purge those toxins. So let's look at this now. At the 4-month mark, Karen comes back in and says, I'm about 70% better. She said, as a librarian, I'm on now trying to train in computers. She was joking. She's been doing this for a couple of decades. She felt inferior to the youth generation coming in, grabbing computers. She felt like she was going to make a mistake and blow up the library and shut it down. The other neat thing is she'd walk back to get a book and remember the number, the catalog number. So she was excited that by and by she saw herself feeling more engaged. And she said something interesting. She said, I'm more spontaneous in conversation. She said, my husband pointed out to me that over the past couple of months, I'm now engaging more in conversation. She said, I had trouble with word searching, names, recollection. She said, I've gotten to conversation and I'd frankly just feel stupid. And she said it was extremely embarrassing and something I never wanted to talk about, didn't want to acknowledge, and nor did I want to admit. She said, but now I feel that I'm on. So the final thing I did in her case to get her that additional way is something called Brain Boost 2. And I'm telling you what, there's a lot of neat ingredients that I say activate and tickle signals in there for the brain to turn on. So use Brain Boost 2, 1 capsule with breakfast, 2 capsules at lunch. And I'm telling you what, she came back and said, I'm the old me again. She said, I feel spontaneous, I laugh, I'm quick to engage, I have memory. And she said, one of the greatest things now, I can look in my refrigerator, look in my cupboard, go to the grocery store, and remember what I needed. She said, I can't tell you how many senior moments I had walking back in that door after a shopping trip to the local grocery store and realizing that she forgot some of the main items that she went out for. So if this sounds like you, if you're suffering from this memory loss, pre-senile dementia, word searching, think well to the brain. That's what I said. Fall in love with your brain today, right? We're a week after Valentine's Day. Acknowledge that organ inside your head that carries out these executive functions every day, and think a little outside the box. Think about heavy metal toxicity. Think about hormonal imbalances. Think about the gut-brain connection, and start once again to appreciate your brain. And look, if this doesn't sound terribly exciting to you, think of it this way. As I mentioned before, having worked in a nursing home, think about the destructive effect you're going to have where your kids now are taking care of you. You can't do anything for yourself. You lose the ability to drive. You lose the ability to be productive and live independently. This is a major concern. So take some baseline steps. Change your water. Reduce your toxic load. Eat organic when possible. Start to learn to love your brain and engage in a program like this to help your body detoxify.
Well, those are great points, Dr. Erickson, because oftentimes what happens is that I think people are looking for this one secret nutrient. They're not taking a comprehensive approach when they're looking at this challenge that you are facing, right? So when you look at heavy metal exposure, we look at the byproducts of heavy metal metabolism in the body. You look at hormonal balance, not only with the sex hormones, but also the thyroid and adrenal. And then you factor in a really key point, which is the gut is the second brain. We've done some incredible presentations the last 2 years when we focused on looking at people that have gut issues, right? IBS, Crohn's, colitis, autoimmune, diarrhea, constipation, leaky gut, all these different things. And then we look at it, what is their issue they're coming in for now? Depression, anxiety, mood disorders, right? So they're not sure why, but they directly now we're showing the connection between the gut and the brain. And when you look at some of those key, like call them communication or neurotransmitters, right? These are the key signaling agents. So we got things like dopamine and serotonin. You know all these things. This is very new to even functional medicine community. However, what they found, Doc, is that when you look at serotonin and dopamine is about 50-50. About 50% of your dopamine is in your brain, 50% is in the gut. You look at serotonin, the number one neurotransmitter involved in depression. Have you seen any depression in your practice in the last 10 years? Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. I'm glad you opened up that area of topic here regarding genetics. For years, most people know Dr. Noah's Ark. That's our clinic there, special subdivision of innovative family wellness for children. The science of genetics is now into the genome. So you might just say, you know what, it's just bum luck, right? I can't pick my parents, and I have this memory loss or fatigue or anxiety. That's another really big one. And they're intricately tied into heavy metals, nutritional deficiencies, but also genetic predisposition. So for now over 8 years, I've been running genetic pathway tests that go into pathways of how well you sustain chemicals. Let's say, for example, you take somebody who has anxiety and depression. Yes, as I was mentioning, we can look at hormone levels there before, and we might have to detox. We might have to do different things to clean up the body. But, you know, there can be a genetic predisposition. So your happy, feel-good neurochemical serotonin has to switch into melatonin at night. If you're lacking something because of a genetic predisposition called a methyl group, it does not slip into melatonin. So I realized that I get many of my patients to sleep at night by using melatonin. That is certainly true. Jamie, from Nutritional Frontiers, one of my best all-time remedies has been sleep time. It has some precursors for serotonin. It has melatonin, and that's available here at our office. That's a great product. It also works on GABA receptors to calm down. So let's say, for example, somebody would do genetic testing, and they have a gene mutation called MTHFR. Let's say they have a gene
there you go.
called COMT. They may not be methylating. So I often use products from Nutritional Frontiers like Super B Complete. And Super B Complete has some methylated B factors in it to turn back on the brain. But I do this based on genetic testing. It's interesting. There's another gene SNP that we know is kind of like the way of detoxing in the brain, the shortcut around that pathway, and it turns on brain neurons. And there's something very critical I'll bring to people's attention in Super B Complete. There's dimethylglycine. It's a detoxifying agent, so back to that again. And also, too, with studies in Alzheimer's and preventing this condition, we also turn our attention to a kind of forgotten about vitamin complex called choline. Choline shows some great research for memory, and choline's come part of that. So some interesting things we can do. Once we receive genetic testing, we can find out if somebody should be taking methyl B12 or products like Super B Complete to turn on these switches in the brain. So indeed, with my background in biology, I'm heavily invested in testing. I believe a lot in the patient's history and a good workup and a consultation that's in depth and pays attention. But there's a lot of times when you see familial tendencies toward cancer, Alzheimer's, diabetes, heart disease, these things we can often bypass the predisposition. You don't have to just sort of sign up for the program that, oh, well, when I'm in my 60s or 70s, I'll have everyday mental malfunction and memory loss, and I'll start to write the end of my book right now. You can still be vibrant. So I want people to take that message home today, talking about brain health, epigenetics, and nutrition. This is alive and well. Your doctor may tell you there's nothing you can be done, but that's probably because they're not looking in the pathways that we've discussed today.
Yeah, interesting enough, I've learned about these SNPs. They're called single nucleotide polymorphisms, right? So when people are getting genetic testing done at your office, all you need to do is call your office and set up an appointment. So you are accepting new patients, correct?
Yes, we are, Jamie. We have two locations. One is right here in Wexford, right off the 910 exit, overlooking I-79. And the second practice is in Boardman, Ohio, just southeast of Youngstown. And that practice is very well known for acupuncture. I am a licensed medical acupuncturist, and for a lot of these people with everyday mental malfunction, we can actually do specialized forms of cranial acupuncture. We can leave them with little pins in their ears that actually help to calm their nerves and decrease cortisol, all of which influences the brain chemistry.
So, folks, if you want to schedule with Dr. Noah Erickson, all you need to do is call the office direct, 877-533-9993. That's 877-533-9993. And I know he's been so generous that he is willing to help subsidize your program. If you call and mention that you listen to him on the radio show on Holistic Truth, we get a $100 support or credit towards any testing that you have done. So we really appreciate you doing that, Dr. Erickson. That really helps out a lot of people. And I just want to tell a quick story because I remember learning about these SNPs from Dr. Bland about 10 years ago, and he said up to about 40% of the population can have these. Now, you should think about the person coming into your office, right? If they're coming into your office, they've been to everyone at least once or twice, maybe 10 times. They're coming to your office, and it's the likelihood that over 50%, as high as 80% of people walking through have some of these SNPs because they're not getting help anywhere, and that's how we know. So recently I was tested by Dan McPherson on the Asyra technology. Are you familiar with that at all? Asyra?
No, no, I'm not.
Okay, it's a technology from Germany, similar to maybe the Volt machine or BioMeridian, things like that. So it tests frequencies, right? It tests the frequency of the cells, just like you've tested with the muscle testing. And when I got my report done by Dan, it was about 10 days ago, Friday before the last one, and he found that I was deficient in folate, so he recommended I do 5 folate 4G per day, 5 a day. So those are already at 5 milligrams each. So he's recommending upwards of 25 milligrams for me. And I'll tell you what, it's been dramatic, the change. I didn't think there was anything going on with, neurological. And again, he's not diagnosed with any disease, but I'm feeling now I got to get some further testing done because more than likely I have the same issue going on, and that's probably caused, I call mood, shifts in mood, not so much depression or anxiety, but just, drastic shifts where you're feeling really high energy and then you're not, and then you're, so, and of course, with my schedule, it equates to that. So even if it's one of those things where it's caused by my traveling and my work, it's okay, because now the folate 4G, which is a straight folate by Gnosis, it's a trademarked ingredient. This is ideal because I like the Super B Complete, which you recommended, and some of our other products that you talked about already have the active folate in them. This is a straight one, so you get the higher dosage if you want it, and you can scale back depending on the person.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I'll tell you a really interesting case about a pediatric that had a similar situation. This was a child who was 3.5 years old, and Benjamin came to see me from Wheeling, West Virginia. And Benjamin's parents said, we noticed that he has staring episodes. So astutely, his parents took him to the pediatrician, who promptly, after an evaluation, referred him to a pediatric neurologist to rule out epilepsy and also seizures. So a lot of times kids seem to have this gazed over look. Well, in many cases, this can be gut malfunction, right? We know that ammonia gets built up in the gut from too much protein, from bad bacteria, and snow over the brain. We know that food allergens like gluten and dairy can do this, but in Benjamin's case, it wasn't this at all. So after looking over a comprehensive workup, I looked over a serum amino acids from a neurologist. I looked over a thyroid studies. I looked over some iron labs. I decided to take the genetic approach here. So I ran a DNA methylation analysis profile, and it's interesting. Unknowing to the parents, they had been giving the child a chewable multivitamin from a company that unfortunately was still using folic acid. And the little dirty little secret is that chemical that overstimulates the brain for many people who can't handle it. Basically, it's a polyglutamate. So it's like red dye or Chinese, sauce that has MSG, toxic, brain toxic ingredients strung together that was making the kids super hyper. So once we identified that, I promptly moved him over to the exact type of folic acid that you just mentioned. The second thing I found problematic was he had a gene SNP in the pancreas called GAD, and this again was based on genetic testing. Yes, you can do it for children this young. And it was interesting. I had to use Calm Day. You know, many people, adults, Americans, everybody of all walks, races, size, shapes, ages can have anxiety disorder. Oftentimes, it's the inability to convert glutamic acid and glutamate, known brain toxins, into something calming called GABA. And I picked this up on a gene SNP on the test called GAB. So I promptly use Calm Day, just in this age, about a third of a capsule once a day with breakfast. Dramatic results. Within a 1 month period, they said that they used to have to take the kid out of the car to go to the babysitters 3 days a week, as mom and dad were also working together there. So there's a few days that this kid would go into complete tantrums and meltdowns. The other problem they were having, when he'd have to stay over at grandma's house, he had major fears and anxieties of sleeping in a different bed, in a different house, wondering where his parents were. And of course, this was causing major disruption with the babysitter, major disruption with the family, just simply by using an additional third of a capsule of Calm Day at dinner time. Lights out, grandma's happy, parents are happy, and most importantly, that little kiddo awakens feeling ready and prepped for the day. So genetic testing is alive and well. It's here to stay, and you can really understand when everything else doesn't seem to explain symptomatology, what's going on deep inside the person's body.
Well, that's amazing, and I love the fact of that, you know, when I first learned about these single nucleotide polymorphism and genetic testing and DNA testing from Dr. Jeffrey Bland, going back almost 20 years already. You know, I thought that right then, that was the time it was going to happen, and then after a while it wasn't happening. I was growing a little frustrated, but it's so great to see it's actually coming to fruition, Doc. It's actually coming to us live now, and here I am grabbing a bottle of folate 4G to take my morning dose of 3 capsules, and it's amazing how different I felt in the last 10 days. The best way I can explain it is just more balanced, right? You just feel like you're in a groove, and you know, rather than things going like more of a roller coaster ride all day, very consistent. You know, you're drawing on good energy from people around you, and things seem to be flowing really well when that happens. So, you know, these testing that's available now, I think it's fantastic because now you can uncover and unlock the secrets of what's going on in the body. And even though we may have thought those things now before, isn't it great, Dr. Erickson, to actually have the proof? I mean,
yeah, sure.
You have the proof that you do now. Now you can connect the dots and say, you knew what's going on already, Dr. Erickson, but now when you can show the person and show them you have a solution, it's incredible the difference that the person feels, because one now is, you know, their prayers have been answered. They've been going to people, you know, it's like they've been to everyone 5 times in the city, and now as a last resort, maybe somebody from church told them about you, or a friend of theirs recommended you. But I don't think people are at that point yet, because a lot of medical doctors aren't yet either. So you're at the cutting edge. You're right on the cusp of what's going on out there. So I don't want people to think that this is just very common and everyone's doing this. How come my doctor didn't do it? It's okay if your doctor didn't do it. You need to go to a doctor like Dr. Erickson that is ahead of the field, right? You're the leader of the pack, and what you're doing is probably not duplicated very frequently, especially in this area.
Well, here's a quick way to remember the practice for kiddos, if anyone's interested. It's Dr. Noah's Ark, and that's DNA. So just remember that, DNA, Dr. Noah's Ark. I really enjoy working with kids. I was in school to be a biology teacher some 20 years ago, and ended up during that training finding out about genetics and about my own personal health. That's my own story about chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia and other things that I had to deal with to get through college. And anyhow, that was kind of the birthing of the practice and the idea of Dr. Noah's Ark. So that's where that all got started from. And yes, indeed, it is great to have testing, but I'm going to take a little 180 flip on you there. The other thing we find when it comes down to brain fog, dementia, memory loss, focus, concentration with both kids and adults, and you're not going to want to acknowledge this, is unfortunately the idea that infections often do not show on the radar. So yes, we're talking about very objectively based tests here with genetics and organic acid testing and stool testing and blood work and so on. But you know what? Many people have brain fog because they have never been properly assessed for Lyme disease, Lyme co-infection. Moms and dads, grandmas, grandparents, grandfathers, please listen up. This is major and epidemic issue, right? If we listen to the work of some of the world experts like Dr. Richard Horowitz or Dr. Evan Hirsch, you're finding out that these infections are ubiquitous, and they are not just carried on deer ticks. They're ubiquitous, and they go on blood meal, blood-seeking organisms and critters like mosquitoes, spiders, ticks. So unfortunately, this can be transferred in ways we never fully appreciated until just the past few years. So I'm telling you, missing component to brain fog is Lyme. There's a form of neurological Lyme that can attack the brain. This can be a problem with a child, right? How many kids are playing in the backyard? Ticks can grab on and fall off. So here at Innovative Family Wellness and with Dr. Noah's Ark with the kids, I do a lot of Lyme screening and testing, but you know what? It often doesn't show. And that is when an H&P, a history and a physical exam, means so much, because oftentimes we look for body signs of Lyme. For example, one of the co-infections can actually have lines on the body. There's co-infections like Bartonella that's known to put a cloak around the thyroid and shut down thyroid function. When that happens, you can have brain fog and problems with focus and concentration. Something that I've used successfully from Nutritional Frontiers to start to combat this, even if we can't prove it on a test, and I could talk, that could be a whole other show, talking about the diagnostics, the DNA polymerase chain reaction testing, the urine testing we do for Lyme and Lyme co-infections, the extensive blood panels, is something called Microgon. Microgon has some things in there like cat's claw that are known antimicrobial heavy-hitting agents. And remember this, folks, Babesia is a parasite. And Jamie, I'm not sure if this gets a whole lot of spotlight here on your shows, but Paracleanse, the product that you have out there to knock down parasites, folks, it might sound gross. I'm not insulting you. It's not an issue of personal hygiene. Many people have liver flukes, intestinal worms, flatworms. It never hurts to get tested on a stool test and some of these PCR markers for parasitology. They're DNA testing to find out if you have parasitology, and that is another arm of clearing up your brain.
Yeah, we've had, actually, it's interesting you bring this up because I've had meetings with a colleague of yours, Dr. Shaw and Dr. Perez recently, and during those meetings, you know, all three of you pointed out mycotoxins, right, biotoxins, connected to Lyme, and these undiagnosed infections, especially in kids or young adults, but can occur in anybody. So exactly at the same time, three of the leaders in the world in this field are talking the same language. So that's why I was talking about having a conference at some point, maybe the end of this year. But we definitely got to look at this because, you know, if you're seeing it, she's seeing it, he's seeing it, and it's that aha moment where you're saying, oh my gosh, no wonder I was getting good results when I did the protocol. Now I know why, right? Now I know why, you know, they're having this connection with the heavy metals, limes, leaky gut, and then these biotoxins. So, you know, it's connecting all the dots for me. And I've always been one to say, hey, you know what? If you're getting healthy, you're getting great results, why do you care about a test, right? There's other times you say, I want to see the test results because that's what is leading me to think this, right? So, yeah, I guess there's times for the test and maybe times that you won't run the test or you don't even need to run the test because you know what kind of results you're going to get anyway.
Right. You know, most people equate Lyme and co-infections with joint pain, muscle stiffness, perhaps fatigue, fevers, right? Classic signs, kind of the hallmark signs of infection, where you run a fever, you get stiff, you get tired, you're achy. But I'm telling you, there's forms of neurological Lyme that can give this presentation of brain malfunction and dementia-like qualities. And something else to consider here, when we start to put the genetics in place with the toxification pathways. Quick story here, I had a 37-year-old female who for a long time was taking N-acetylcysteine and vitamin C, but we ran a test of her genetics, And it turns out she could not convert NAC, a precursor to a detoxifying agent called glutathione, right? One of the body's primary antioxidants. I always call that the rust proofing of the car. Remember way back in the day when you get your car Z-barred or something? I call it the rust proofing. It protects your cells in your brain from burning out. So glutathione she could not make. There's a gene called GSPM1, and she was not able to make this. So immediately we put her on the liver clear to boost up glutathione. We used some additional liposomal forms of that product, and we were able to get glutathione into her cell. Phenomenal result. Her brain came back on. The mathematics problem. She worked as an accountant. She could balance her checkbook. She could do clients' work. So I'm telling you, there's pathways in the body that are genetically derived for making energy to detox, to clear up your brain. And until you see it this way and look at the functional medicine principles of finding the root cause of the problem, a lot of people still suffer from embarrassing moments, we call senior moments and sometimers, where you just don't have it. The words, names, dates, mathematics, things like that are just not on the top of your brain.
Well, that's great. We appreciate you coming on today. This is a wealth of information and research that not only the content, but the delivery is incredible. You know, you got me re-energized with the program, and the overwhelming response to my cell phone's been going off the whole time we've been on the show. People listening saying, hey, I got to get an appointment up there. We need to take a look at a few of my patients because they're running into situations that maybe I missed out. And even one of the other doctors I was talking about before, he said, you know, I missed this. For about a year and a half, he said, I missed this because I wasn't seeing the undiagnosed infection like you were mentioning, right? He's saying that was the needle in the haystack that I was missing out on. But now that I got that, he said it's amazing now that he's going through his book and calling all his old Lyme patients and saying, hey, once you come on down, I got a test to show you. And I want to, get you healthy because, the conclusion is they're still not healthy. The people that he saw that, had this underlying cause of a chronic infection that was undiagnosed, they weren't getting healthy because no one else saw it either. So when he looked at it deeper, he said, you know what? I'm going to treat them as if they have the infection anyway, even if I don't think they do, or the testing is showing that they don't have it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, Jamie, we're talking about a lot of vitamins and nutrition today. Anyone can obviously walk into a health food store and grab vitamins, but what I sincerely try to do here at Innovative Family Wellness with all patients, both adults and kiddos, is take a deep history, a thorough intake, an examination, and then design a customized program to get to their underlying root cause of the problem.
Well, that's great. We appreciate you doing that. We look forward to having you on more episodes of Holistic Truth. And, folks, I highly recommend making an appointment because you accept the new patients. It won't be like that forever, but make an appointment so Dr. Erickson can use his incredible experience and help uncover some of the underlying causes of your health challenges and conditions. All you need to do is call 877-533-9993. That's 877-533-9993. And I think people like to go to the website too, so innovativefamilywellness.com, innovativefamilywellness.com. Is there any other websites out there that they can find you on?
Yes, thanks for mentioning that. Another one people might want to look at if they have particular interest with kids with ADD, ADHD, autism spectrum disorder. They can check me out at drnoahsark.com. So it's drnoahs, Noahs, ARC, ARC, drnoahsark.com. Check that out, too, and you can learn a lot about how we work with children and how I start to put those kids on a path of health and wellness.
Well, we are coming up to the end of the hour, so thanks again to KHP Radio for having us on. Thanks to Bill in the studio. He's been a tremendous help today. We had a little technical difficulty, but there he is, man. This guy is on top of stuff, Noah. I know you worked with him years ago, so it's nice to bring everyone back together again. Thanks to our family down at the Wine and Wellness Center. Looking to see everyone at the Wine and Wellness Week going on from Saturday, March 3rd to Saturday, March 10th. more information, give the office a call at 412-922-WELL. That's 412-922-9355. If you'd like to make an appointment with Dr. Noah Erickson, you can do so. You can check him out at innovativefamilywellness.com, innovativefamilywellness.com, or just give his office a call and say, I want to meet with Doc, and let me know where and when. 877-533-9993. So it's 877-533-9993. Give him a call today. Let's get people in there. And let's get you back to feeling 100% again, because for some people, Doc, it's been too long. So thanks for being on the show. We really appreciate it. We have you on the schedule now, so looking forward to it. I can't wait to go to the Integrative Health Symposium this week. I'm going to bring you back some newest research that they're presenting at the conference, because I know there's a few people there that are your mentors that you work with, and you're really excited to get some of that, their latest research that they've been presenting at the conferences. So I'll bring that back for you. And I think we'll have you on next week, right? That is Tuesday. That's Tuesday, February 27th at 8 a.m. KHBRadio.com, 94.1 the FM, and 6:20 a.m. So thanks, Dr. Erickson. Thanks to all listeners out there. Appreciate the support. Have a great day, and God bless.
You've been listening to The Holistic Truth, sponsored by Nutritional Frontiers, a Pittsburgh-based professional nutraceutical company founded by Dr. James Weiner and Jamie Dorley. Listen again at this same time for The Holistic Truth.